Today is the 6th day of February 2014 in our continuing series, Sri Aurobindo Ashram, The Early Years. And it is a great honor to have Jhumur with us today. Welcome, Jhumur. You were telling me this is a special day.
It is a special day because he returned to his country on this day in 1903.
Sri Aurobindo, yes. We usually begin at the beginning, and that is, how and when did you come to the...
How? I don't
Your
know.
parents?
I was too little. I was very small. I was just 2 years old.
Oh,
2 and a bit, I think. But my family was connected with the ashram even before my parents' marriage. For a very long time, from the 20s, my father's aunt was one of the first disciples of Sri Aurobindo, his mother's sister, and she had a kind of I don't know how to call it, some kind of a transit camp, if you like. People who were coming to Pondicherry, including Nolinita and Narendas Gupta and Rajani Palit and all those, she had a place where they used to all stay. So she was actually instrumental in introducing Sri Aurobindo to us, to our family.
and her place, the place she had was in Calcutta?
It was in Calcutta, I think, or outside Calcutta, I'm
Mhm.
not sure.
Mhm.
But she had requested Sri Aurobindo to let her come here. And he said, no, you do my work there. So many of those people who were coming over to Pondicherry, they left their children in our house. Like Nolinita's sons grew up in our house. Like Swarnadi's daughter grew up in our house. So we had a big family. So I have baby pictures in my room, I still have it, where there are photographs of Sri Aurobindo and the mother, and I'm just maybe less than a year old. I don't know consciously, I don't know when I found out about them. But my mother said, for instance, that when they got married, Mother and Sri Aurobindo sent a special telegram, blessings. So I've been in touch with them
Yes.
without knowing it long before I was born. Then my mother was expecting a boy, a son, who I think had hydrocephalus or something in the brain. It was a very difficult birth, and the child died, I think, when he was 8 months old. So when she was expecting me, she sent word here that you let me know immediately when the child is born. So a telegram, in those days it was always a telegram.
Yes.
A telegram was sent the day I was born. So that's when the connection started, I
see.
suppose, without me knowing anything about it.
Yeah.
But came here in 42,
42.
1942, and before the school started.
Mhm. So you came with both of your parents?
No,
No?
my father was in the war.
Oh.
I came with my mother, but also we had a joint family. So my grandmother, who was already here before I was born, my grandmother used to come and go because she came here, she used to come here in the 30s. Then I had uncles, I had my aunt Chom's mother, and we all came together. We all came here, Sunil, and in fact Sunil came the first time with Pranab, and they came in, I think, 40, 41 or 42, I don't know when exactly. Then they went back, And then we all came together after that.
What is your first memory of seeing Sri Aurobindo as a
I
child?
really don't remember, I was much too small.
Mm.
But my mother told me that after the darshan, when I was coming down the stairs, maybe I was 3 years old,
Mm.
I was just telling her, gold, gold, it's all gold.
All
But-
gold.
Gold. I was just repeating that word, it's gold.
You've had a long life here in the ashram,
Yes.
and you told me once that you actually sang as small children, and Sri Aurobindo listened upstairs. Can you tell us about that?
That was in 1947, for the independence of India. And with Dilip Kumar Roy,
Oh,
we had prepared Vande Mataram, and the rehearsals used to be in our house.
I see.
There were lots of people, among which we were also there because it was in our house. We were not the main singers, but we joined in. Everybody sang, and he was listening from upstairs, and that's when the attack on the ashram started. In 1947, the first stone started falling, because that was the first attack on the ashram, and the song stopped.
Did you, when you were a little bit older, write anything to Sri Aurobindo?
No.
No.
Sri Aurobindo was, for me, something almost unapproachable, remote, grand, magnificent. Mother was close, familiar. You could go to her, and we did several times a day. She used to play with her, sing with her, dance with her. We did everything that children could do in those days. Sri Aurobindo, you could not. Just approach him on the darshan day. They used to be sitting side by side. It used to be after 1:30 in the afternoon. And we came forward towards the throne. We stand there, everyone stood there for a few seconds. All I remember is I never wanted to move. And I kept on looking only at him, because Mother I could see every day. Him I saw only 4 times a year. So that was very special. And he was so magnificent. He was grand. He was golden. He seemed enormous. He seemed like a king, or I don't know what I did. I had never seen kings, but somebody who was, I don't know how to call it, just grand, magnificent, golden. Later, when I grew up and I read that he was not tall, he was quite short, and that he was quite dark, I didn't believe it. Because what I had seen was someone who was like a mountain peak sitting there. Even after he passed, he left his body, and he was on his bed, he looked like tremendous forms, which is golden. There was a light which was radiating from him, a golden orange light.
And you saw it.
I saw it. Everybody saw it, I think. At least most did.
I remember Uda telling Mother he couldn't see it, and Mother tapped him on the head and he saw it.
Oh, I didn't know that. I just saw it.
Yes.
And I was silly because I was just turned 11. At the end of November, I had turned 11. I didn't know anything about the Supermind or things like that. Those were words we heard in the ashram
Yes.
atmosphere. But what it really meant, I had no idea. So I still remember that it was around 4 o'clock in the morning. Someone came home to inform. My father used to sleep downstairs and I was upstairs. My mother was upstairs to inform us about what had happened. So my father came up, and I could hear them whispering, and I could hear my mother crying. And it was a very rare thing, she never cried. So I was very surprised because I have always been a very light sleeper. So I said, what's happening? Something is happening. So then soon enough, he came to my room and said, get ready, we're going to the ashram. So we got ready, and in the meantime, my uncle, my grandmother, my aunt, all of them had got ready, and we all went to the ashram. There was already a queue of people going to Sri Aurobindo's room. It was around 4:30 probably in the morning. It was still dark. And the room was not like now. It was a very simple room. There was one little lamp that was hanging from the ceiling. That's all. There's a one small table fan that was there, and that's all. There was nothing. And yet the room was full of light, golden light. And I was wondering where the light is coming from. So I was looking around. I thought, have they put so many lights on? There was just one light. Then I came back again because people were doing just that. They used to coming back over and over again. And I thought, are there golden curtains on the window? By then it was around 6 o'clock, the sun was rising. There was no curtain at all. The window panes were painted green. They were just painted green. So I was wondering where the light is coming from. Finally I realized it's coming from the bed. It was throwing out a most gorgeous orangish gold light. I've never seen anything like this, like that before. And I don't think I'll ever will.
And when they took him in the courtyard,
That was 4 days later.
was it golden?
Yeah. No, in the courtyard he was in the coffin.
Oh,
Look down the coffin.
I see.
So that was the whole thing, that that light was so special that Mother said, as long as this light is there, no one is to touch the body. But Pondicherry was under the French, and the rule was that you can't keep a body for more than 24 hours. So Mother asked the doctors from the general hospital, they were French, to come and see. They came, it seems, and they checked out everything, and they said there are no symptoms of death. This is not a dead body. So don't touch it. So it was the 5th, the 6th, the 7th, the 8th. On the evening of the 8th, it was yellowish. And there was a little blue spot on the temple. Because we kept on going up, passing through that room. It was so, I don't know, so magnetic. It was drawing all of us. And because the gold faded, it was becoming yellow, and the little patch of blue on the temple, I think on the left side. And Mother said, tomorrow. But in the meantime, the rest of the time, you have to keep the Samadhi, you have to prepare it. Actually, in the center of the ashram, that structure which is the Samadhi, it existed. A rectangle already existed. There were pots of ferns on it. In fact, we used to play in the ashram, hide and seek, in the courtyard. We did not realize. We used to run around, and that's the spot we used to touch. And that's the thing that had to be broken, dug, and prepared, the chamber below. And at that time, it seems Mother said, you make a second chamber for me.
Yes, I remember that. Your daughter told me.
Yes. So that, there was a man who had come here. I've never seen him again, a German. I don't know what his name was, something with K. He had shoulders, massive shoulders. I've never seen a person with such arms and such shoulders. And he worked round the clock, literally. he did not stop. I don't know what karma he was expiating, but it was round the clock. And we children, we were carrying little small dekchis, chettis as they call it,
Chettis, yes.
with pebbles and stone, and going and putting them at the back near Prosperity Garden, coming back. That was our work. And all the ashram people, the men, boys, they came in turn. They were all working, they were all helping, digging, but that man was there from morning to night. He never stopped. It was it's a memory I've never forgot. And funny enough, he's never come back. He's never come again. So,
How was the Samadhi prepared?
that's how it was.
Was it marble at that time?
No, it was very simple. Mother wanted something very, very simple. So it was dug, and I think whatever was the concrete and all that, it was all done by the disciples. And then it was, when the coffin was made ready in Hapagon, it was put down, covered with a slab, the second chamber, covered with soil, another slab, and then soil, and then leaves, and that was all. And so I think Jyotinda or someone had kept big baskets of rose petals, surrender petals. So once on the 9th, after the Samadhi, people came and sprinkled those petals, and within half an hour it was covered with rose petals. It was just that. And it was whitewashed. Not white, it was grey, silver grey. Silver grey, but it was chunam. It was not marble. It was nothing fancy. The only problem was because of that whitewash and the people going there for pranam, periodically it used to get spoiled, the whitewash. So it had to be painted again and again and again. And then I think somebody came up with the idea that with marble, you don't have to. That one, finally Mother agreed, because otherwise in the beginning she was not at all. She didn't want anything, she wanted something very simple, very modest.
Do you recall where Mother was during these days?
No, she had withdrawn.
She
A
had
few days she met almost nobody for the first few days. But after that, after the 9th, we used to go to her every day. As children, we used to play upstairs. She had made games for us. After lunch every day, she used to give us dictation. We used to write things, all that. But from the 5th to the 9th, we didn't see her. I didn't see her. Then around a few days later, when her normal activities began, we went up again. And I remember her telling us, by then I think we were 6, all of us together, that my children, I will give you a lesson of spirituality. And I was 11 years old.
Yeah.
She asked us, have you read the prayers and meditations? She asked each of us. All of us had learned a few prayers in class, things like that. I said, not the whole book, we will not, just learned a few prayers. She said, all right. So we will meet once a week, and you will each of you read one sentence from the prayers and meditations, and then there will be questions and answers. And that's what evolved into the Wednesday class. The entretien, the questions and answers, it started in 1951.
Did Mother speak to you in French or English?
Always.
Always in
Always.
French?
She was always very disturbed if any of us spoke to her in English. Never. She did not want us to speak to her in English, however wrong the French may be, and she never wanted us to read her books in English, or Aurobindo's books in French. She said it very clearly, me you read in French, him you read in English.
I see.
Very clear.
Now, we've heard from, of course, other ashramites, the atmosphere of the ashram in those days, the silence.
Yes, it was very happy. We were children, so we played in the ashram proper. We used to go to mother around after school at 11:30. We used to go home for lunch and then go upstairs. And she had prepared all kinds of games for us. Every day a different kind. And after those games, sometimes it was also a dictation or something, whoever won got something special. Because every one of us got flowers, sweets, and
Sweets also.
made by Ganpatram. But that was not what you get now.
No, I know. I remember those days.
Yes. And there were tomatoes. Always. She had a great, trust in tomatoes. In 1950, I had fallen very ill. I had typhoid.
Oh, really?
So, when the fever had gone and I could not, because in those days they gave you no food to eat, only something to drink. There were no antibiotics or anything. She used to come and see me at home, tell me stories, sit on my bed, like a mother. And then she one day, I don't remember how many days later, she told me, from tomorrow I won't come anymore. I said, why? Why, mother? She said, no, I have been coming to your house. Tomorrow you come to my house. So I said, come to your house. Fine, I'm so happy. So, but you'll have to walk. In the corridor you'll have to walk. I had not walked. I had not eaten. I'd only drunk. I said, yes, I'll walk. Your father can carry you up the stairs, but upstairs in my rooms you will walk. I said, fine, sure. But then when I told my mother, see, she's told me that I'm going upstairs tomorrow. What'll I wear? And there was not a single dress I could wear because I had grown, you won't believe it, by 9.5 centimeters in a month.
Oh my God.
I was, when I fell ill, 1 meter 47, and I became 56.5. That was the reason I fell ill, she told me afterwards. The body
really?
could not cope. Suddenly it wanted to grow. And I didn't have anything to wear, and I started to cry. What will I wear? How can I go like this? I don't have a single dress. My skirts are so short. It was not the age of mini skirts. So I still remember my uncle bought a beautiful white fabric, and my mother and my aunt sat and stitched it the whole day, and the next day it was ready. So I wore that, and I walked upstairs in mother's room.
You walked up the stairs also?
No, I didn't.
No, your father
upstairs.
carried
My
you.
father carried me. But upstairs I walked. And she said, it is for this. This body suddenly could not cope with. And then I didn't stop growing. I grew and I grew and I grew. It was not the time when people liked tall girls, at least not in India.
I see.
So in the group, everyone was laughing at me because we had to stand, and I was standing only with the boys because I was as tall as the boys. And I still remember I was about 14, and one day I told mother, please stop me from growing up. I don't want to grow any taller. Everyone laughs at me. Everyone in the street also used to laugh at me and say, what's the weather like up there? And all kinds of things. And when some relatives came from Calcutta, they looked me up and down and said, you'll never find a husband. I said, I don't want one. You're much too tall. So they all used to make fun of me, and my when I told mother that I want to stop growing taller, will you please stop me from growing taller? She said, but why? I like it very much. And you'll be as tall as your father. He wasn't very tall, but he was tall. And it's the aspiration in the body. She told me it's the aspiration in the body. That's exactly what she told. I couldn't quite understand at that age what exactly it meant, but I knew it was something very beautiful. So I came down happily. And after that, I never was teased about my height. I don't know why. And I decided if I'm going to be tall, I'm going to be straight. I'm not going to hide my height. I'm not going to stoop. It looks absurd. I am what I am. So I'm straight. And she was very happy. She said, I like tall people. So after that, I was very happy. She liked tall people. She said it was aspiration in the body. But the problem was my body could not manage the ligaments. Just this problem with the knee started at that time.
Oh, so many years ago.
It was all stretched. I used to get hurt while athletics and games, and I dislocate my knee. I used to fall down. That was a problem. But we used to usually after playing upstairs with the mother, we used to come down, it was around 1 o'clock, 1:15. Mother used to come down after 1:30, 1:45, for a very special darshan. It was called the vegetable darshan. From the gardens, baskets of vegetables that were grown in the gardens were put near the staircase that is next to Nirodha's room. There, in front of the Samadhi. And we used to be there. Wherever mother went, everybody went. So we were already in the ashram. But what do you do between 1 o'clock and 1:30? You play. Or you fool around. We did not. There were many who used to meditate, the elders, but not we. And once I still remember mother telling us that you're playing in the ashram, just don't make noise on the prosperity side because Pavitra rests. And he sleeps for just 20 minutes in the afternoon. Don't disturb him. She never said don't disturb me or don't disturb Sri Aurobindo. On the other side, we could run around everywhere. We were really thoroughly spoiled. There were very few children in the ashram. Nobody scolded us. Nobody ever did anything, We never were beaten. That's out of the question. No slaps, no blows, no nothing ever. I have never been beaten in my life. And everybody spoilt us. Everyone was uncle and aunt. And it wasn't we just grew like plants.
And it was a time of joy.
Absolutely. We knew. But when we went from school to mother, she used to, in the beginning especially, ask us, what have you learned today? So you have to say what you've learned. If it's an arithmetic table, then you have to stand up and say it in French. If it's a small poem, then you have to stand up and say it. And she said, don't say this poem like this. This is about a tiger. So you have to speak as if it's a tiger talking. Things like that. Played with us. We used to run round, ring-a-ring-a roses and all those things. We ran on the corridor, all sorts of upstairs in mother's room. We were like, it was home. And we were happy.
Yes.
And that's it.
I think Anjana told us about mother telling the story about this rabbit. Remember this rabbit?
Which rabbit?
The rabbit who had to go to the king, and he meets a lion on the way and a tiger. And
she used to tell stories to the green group.
That was to the green group?
Not to us.
They were younger children?
Yes, there were 3 sets of classes.
Okay.
One was the translation class for the elders. One was for the red group, where she read her books and there were questions and answers. And there were 3 classes for the younger ones, the green group. One day I think was stories, one day was dictation, and the next day they had to recite what had been dictated, learn by heart and recite. It was for them. But for us, no.
Tell us a bit about the playground. And the activities in the playground, mother's distribution of groundnuts.
Yes.
All these things are so precious.
Playground, we're making an exhibition now, you can see it actually. Mother started coming to the playground, all of these after 50, 51. She started with the table tennis in Nantoi. The tennis ground was not yet ready. And after that, she used to come to the playground and walk all around the playground with a group of ladies. My mother was one of them. She had her group of 6 ladies. That was her group.
They would walk with her.
They used to walk. They did whatever she did. They walked behind her, they walked with her. She walked, and at the end we continued our group activities, but we were small, so we often played. I still remember we were playing on the ground, and I used to just see her feet, because in the beginning she used to come in a sari. So you could see her feet. Then later, when tennis started, she started wearing salwar kameez. And then, I don't know how it started, but the distribution at the end of the group activities, everyone stood all along the walls, and she went round giving. Amyo went with a basin of nuts. Sometimes it was sweets, sometimes it was very nut, corn, hot corn, but mostly it was nuts. And you had to say how much you wanted. You can't waste. So she had this big spoon, and you have to say plein, full. So you get a full. If you want deux fois, or you say half, or you say very little, or if you didn't want any, you say one. Because it's coming from mother.
Yes, yes.
And if anyone wanted to ask something, speak to her, have an interview, it was at the end. Wait for the end. That's how it was. But I think soon the elders realized that it's not fair for her to go round and we standing. Instead, she should stand or sit and we go. So then, that's how it changed. It changed.
And mother had her own room there in the playground, but that was later.
It was later. Actually, that room was a classroom. Until 52, we didn't have this school. All the rooms around the playground, they don't exist anymore. They were our classrooms. Mother had a small group of elders who were not part of these classes. She used to teach them French. And that was in what was, in those days, the small lab. We had 2 small, very small rooms. One was for physics and one was for chemistry. And that was also the interview room, that was also the classroom she used to take. There was another room, which was a biggish room, which was one of the bigger classrooms. That's where the translations used to take place. Then there was this room, which became finally her room. It was no longer a classroom, it became her room. It was the captain's room now. I think it's still her room, mother's room. And that's where she used to rest after tennis, take a little snack, I think, and then come out for her daily activities.
I have probably 100 questions to ask you about art and music and dance. Where do we begin? With mother teaching you all these things?
No, but for her music, I can tell you something very sweet.
Good.
You've heard her music.
Yes.
Well, to a large extent, we're responsible for it. That's the nice part. Yes, because I think it was in 52 or 53, maybe 53, there was this French lady who came. She was an opera singer. She was very gifted, and suddenly everybody in the ashram wanted to learn Western singing. From the youngest to the eldest. everybody. It was a huge group. So she had divided us into different categories of soprano and alto and tenor and bass and whatnot. And on Darshan Day, after the March Past, we used to sometimes sing. So then Wilfie told us six, we were six girls, why don't you sing for Mother upstairs every Sunday? But simple songs. I mean, today if I look back, they were silly songs, maybe, but simple songs, mostly in French, like Cadet Roussel, La Trois Cheveux, and things like that. Vous plaît de ma blonde. Others were horrified when we sang that song, and Mother liked it very much. She said, yes, the soldiers in France used to sing this when they went to war. So every Sunday we used to sing a song, and every first of the month we used to recite something, either a poem by Sri Aurobindo or a prayer by the Mother. That's what we did. So after one or two Sundays of songs, she said, come, I'll accompany you on the organ. She had not played the organ after the war. For 7-8 years she had not touched the organ. So we all went to Pavitada's room where the organ was. This is what. Actually I'm sitting there, and just below, just next to her left arm. It's not there in the picture. So we were standing. Yes. She would sit there. It was always Sunday, 12:30. At 12:30. So we would sing, then slowly we stopped our songs and it became the Sunday music. Because after we finished singing and she had started accompanying us, gradually her fingers would start to move on the keyboard, and we just sat
that's
down.
how Mother's music began.
And we just sat down there. And gradually this became a program on Sundays. We stopped singing. But Sunday afternoon, this was the program. 12:30, she would come and dance. But it started because we had decided to sing songs to her. And she said, I'll accompany you on the organ. The last time we had heard her play the organ was in 1945, which used to be at midnight, December 31st. The New Year music. And then there was I remember my mother dragging me out of bed, saying, come to the ashram, Mother's going to play the music. At midnight, 11:30, and I was 5 years old, and somehow we're all taken and we have to sit and listen. But then in 52, 53, she said, I'll play. So the fingers moved on their own, and we used to stand. Later we used to just go wait for her. When she sat down at the organ, we sat just round her.
This was the six of you.
Yes. And Sujata on that side. Sujata Di also. To sit there. So that's how it started. And then gradually she called more and more people. One of the first persons she called was my uncle. That you be there, I want you in the room. And slowly the people who work upstairs, they also used to come and sit. Vishwanatha came with his big tape recorder. 1953, there was a huge big Grundig. And people...
The big tape reels?
Yes.
The large.
Big ones.
Yeah.
And then, because Mother played, the ashram would fill up. So he put loudspeakers downstairs on Sundays. So people used to come. Dining room was made earlier, so that they could all be there by 12:30. And it went on till 58, every Sunday. Then when she went to the second floor, somebody offered her an electronic organ. But this program was stopped on Sundays.
Did Mother
Mother's program used to change periodically. After every few years, the rhythm changed. It became something else.
Did she teach you acting?
For certain things, yes, some poems, some passages. Sometimes, I remember when I was a very young girl, I don't know, I think I was 8 years old or 9. One day she told me, I will teach you a portion about Jeanne d'Arc. She said so, and she said, tu sais, Jeanne d'Arc, c'était moi. I was very happy. But then she never did. And one day she told me, later, ça sera pour plus tard. But then when we had programs for the 1st of December, which she used to always decide, choose, she used to often read certain portions, particularly if there were prayers and passages from Sri Aurobindo. She prepared us. I remember the God's Labour, the Gloire à Toi, the Hymn to Durga, all these we used to rehearse with her. We had to do it for her.
Where?
In the interview room in the evening. For the because the 1st of December used to be in the playground. We didn't have the theatre. That came in 56 only.
56.
Until then it was in the playground. She used to really look, for her it was a very important date, the 1st of December. In fact, in the beginning it was on the 2nd. The school's anniversary is on the 2nd of December, actually. So it was a program, used to be a cultural program in the morning, and physical education demonstration was in the evening. But much of the local population was French. They didn't have many cultural shows, and they requested the mother if you could have the cultural program in the evening, because in the morning they can't come, they are in their offices. So then mother said, we'll have it in 2 days. Both days in the evening. So, but she used to decide what will be done, who will do it, who will direct. Certain plays she directed herself. Like even it was quite a satirical, amusing play, not of Sri Aurobindo, it was in French. It's Le Voyage de Monsieur Pénichon, with Udar, and there was a French couple, very good in acting. Those people, they used to rehearse in Golconda. And mother, after tennis, used to go there. Then in 49 or 50, 49, she decided to do Vers l'Avenir. She had written Vers l'Avenir for the 1st of December. And she selected my mother for the main character. My mother's French was very, very shaky.
Shaky?
Yes, she didn't know. She was learning from mother, but she had never studied French. But mother said, I'll teach you. So this was to be rehearsed in Nantay, upstairs, where you have Sri Smriti now. They used to practice there. And who will do what, and who will say how, and who will wear what. Even for us, in the 1st December programs, she would select every role. She would decide on everybody's costume. She would check on everyone's makeup. She used to come backstage and see, your hair is not right, this was like this. Everything was personally directed by her, to the least detail. And if someone had always I had a bad throat. When it had something to speak, I would lose my voice sometime in the last week of November. I don't know why. But she would come, and there was somebody with her. There used to be a thermos of hot milk. There was honey, ginger. She used to pour it out in a small glass, this hot milk, honey, ginger, and drink this. And she had these little cough lozenges that she used to get from France. Never cough. Just keep this in your mouth and swallow. These things come to disturb you. These attacks come so that you may not do the program. You will do the program. That's something occult. So she used to always distribute these cough lozenges to all of us. In fact, the dances and the programs, the dress rehearsal was in our house. On the 29th of November, every time she used to come to our house. And whatever was prepared was done in front of her. She would decide on who will do what, who will say how. But for the acting part, as you were asking, in the later 50s, we had Svetlana's sister who came before Svetlana, Srimai, and she also was a professional actress. So she decided to give us coaching classes in theatre, drama, voice production, and all that. Decided to present a few French plays in the playground. Passages from Molière, I remember. It was Les Femmes Savantes. She enjoyed it very much. She liked those plays very much. So we decided to do the whole of the Bourgeois Gentilhomme. But by then, she had stopped coming out. That year, she didn't come out to the playground anymore. But she said, I want to see you all and hear you a little bit. So we all went upstairs in the morning, changed into our costumes in Pavitada's rooms, and we had to go and present ourselves to her and say something of our lines. And that year also in 59, we had the Book of the Gods from Ilion. And each of us had to wear our costumes and say our parts. And she would comment, this person is not good, this person is right, this is not good, you're very good, you're not. You're supposed to be a queen, the queen of heaven. What are you standing like? She was very, very sharp in her criticism also. Sometimes she would record like she recorded the Rishi, the whole of the, not the whole, last portion of the Rishi. Because she said, this program, the 1st of December, is not just a program, an entertainment program. It is for the development of your consciousness. For her, everything was actually a question of development of consciousness, whether you knew it or not. So whether you played games or whether you sang or danced or whether you acted or recited, it was always a question of consciousness.
Long back, there was the soup distribution.
Yes, that was before I was born.
Before you were born.
Yes.
That room is still very special to me. Sri Aurobindo's photo, that sepia photo. But also I wanted to ask you if you studied Savitri with Mother. It all came on your own.
She used to read sometimes. And Savitri, when it was done in the playground, I never took part in it. I was too young. It was Amita and Arutiti and Manoj. Always Manoj was the main character. Whether it was Ashwapati or Satyavan or
Death.
the Supreme.
Death?
Death only once. Otherwise, no. But he was the man of sorrows. Mona was there. Yeah, that was wonderful. But we were very young, much too young. But I remember one year when the 1st of December program was done, the last portion was always almost an hour of Savitri. After all the rest, they were very long programs. So I remember, I think it was Love and Death that we had, there was a dance drama. And I had done my role. Then I had gone backstage, changed into my ordinary clothes, and come and sat down in the playground with my friends. And Mother used to sit with us, with the children. She was just one line in front of me. I was just one line behind her. Somebody next to her, two girls, who obviously didn't understand Savitri. None of us did. Were talking, whispering. Suddenly, she turned round. And the first time in my life I saw that. She gave a hard slap to the girl next to her and said, "Shh, lie down if you want, sleep. You never speak when Sri Aurobindo's words are being uttered. Don't move, don't talk." I still remember I got goosebumps because I said, thank God I wasn't there. Of course I wasn't talking also. But I was just one line behind that girl. So I saw it. But
The
the thing is, for her, Savitri was something special.
yes.
And she used to choose the person, she used to decide on everything. Even for our dances, she decided on who would do what. And right from February, I still remember, sometimes our friends, my cousin or Gauri and all of them, they were not so interested always in performing on the stage. I enjoyed performing, that's true. I liked it. I liked theatre. But she would say, come here. Toi, tu fais ça. You're that. And when mother says you have to be that, you just have to be that. You can't say, mother, I don't want to be, I don't want to take part, I'm not at all interested in drama. Nothing. And she says, she doesn't ask, you want to do this? She just says, you're doing this. And all you can say is, we do smash. That's all. There's no other answer possible. She just tells you, you are doing this. One year I did. I remember in 58 it was, Vasavadatta. And you know what I played? The hero. I played the hero, I didn't play the heroine. Why? I never understood. I was the boy, the young king.
What mother said.
Well, she had decided.
Yeah.
So I spent 6 months wearing shorts, looking at boys, how they walk, how they stand. And though he's quite described as almost as beautiful as a girl and all that,
Yeah.
but still he's a boy, he's a king,
Yeah,
he's a
yeah.
boy king.
Yeah.
Why me? Ashram didn't lack boys. That's it. If she said it was, everyone accepts. Today nobody would accept it.
Would you share some memories with us of you children going to Nolini, Amrita?
We didn't go so often.
I see.
Yeah.
Some of them did.
Yes,
we
later.
had
Later children did.
Later.
We did not.
that. I see.
We only went to Mother. We didn't really look on them as. I used to call him Granny, Grandpa, Dadu. But other than that, because his sons had grown up in our house, so there was a special relationship. So on his birthday or on Ranjuda's or their birthdays, we used to go to Indulikati's house, his wife's house. That I remember. But otherwise, no, I didn't. Amritada was a friend.
Ah,
Amritada was very, very close to us. He was like a child, though he had a very difficult job, because ashram was very poor in those days. Mother always we used to hear her, as we used to play around upstairs with the flower games, other games. She used to often say, how am I going to pay my workers this month? Always concerned only with that. How am I going to pay my workers? She never had money for them. Somehow on the 30th or the 31st of the month, the money would come from somewhere. It always did. But often you had Pradyuta and others going out to get money for the ashram. And it was always Amritada he was in charge of the money. He was the secretary.
yes.
And he always had a smile. He never looked bothered. He never looked troubled. He was like a baby. I remember one darshan day, after darshan, we were trooping out of the darshan hall where Mother used to sit, and she had given us our places, and we sat in the first line from 10 to 10:30 in the morning. It was then. And then when we came inside, she asked us, what did you do during the meditation? Well, I didn't know how to meditate. So I said, Mother, I looked at you, which is exactly what I did. I just kept on looking at her. she said, suddenly Amritada comes forward, said, Mother, I slept. I fell asleep. Very sincerely, I fell asleep. And Mother said, Amrita, it's very good. You did well, because then I can work on you. If you sleep, then it's not a problem. If your mind is going on ticking, then it's difficult. So it's fine. He always had this kind of special moments with the mother.
What about birthdays?
Birthdays. Birthdays were very special because we always made something for her. So we spent the last month at least, and I wasn't any good at embroidery or that, but I had to learn. I had to sit with one lady and learn how to make a veil or make something for her and get it ready, get up early in the morning or late at night, after school, after group, do all that. And then on your birthday, put it in a box and give it to her. And you should see the smile. Give her something which may be of not at all a very special quality, but she would always say, for me, so beautiful, so wonderful, oh, c'est magnifique, oh mon enfant, and that special smile, for that you would do anything. But she would remember your birthday from quite a few days before. She would say, your birthday is coming, what do you want for your birthday? What are you asking for your birthday? So, usually you ask for books. And she would prepare a set of books that you asked for, others that you had not asked for. She would give us presents, saris and perfumes and all kinds of things. The one she would take a long time to decide which one will suit you, which one will not suit you. This is good for you, you are tall, you can wear this. She's not so tall, so I've given her another one. She was not somebody remote. She was very close. When at a certain age, I started to lose weight. I wasn't very thin before, but from the age of 17, 18, I started to become thin. And there was nothing because I had this terrible diarrhea. It was something almost frightening. So she tried out this doctor, that doctor, this thing, pranayam, go to Ambu, go to Sanyal, do this, do that. So then she said, you take fish. Ashram was vegetarian. I had not tasted fish ever since I came from Calcutta, where it seems I was like a cat. I ate a lot of fish. But after coming to Pondicherry in 42, nobody had fish. So she said, you take fish. To give money to my mother to buy the fish. She told my mother, this fish, make it like this.
Oh.
She showed her how to make it. She named the fish. And it was sole, I think it was, she said sole.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go upstairs after lunch. So you had your fish? No, mother, I threw up. First day I ate, I ran to the bathroom and I threw up. She said, oh, you threw up. All right, you come back, sit down and start again. After something has made you vomit, you have to come back and sit and eat that same thing again. So I couldn't do it. And she would persist. Every day she said, you had your fish? And every day I said no. Until I decided that I have to say yes one day, soon. And for that I have to like it. So I made up my mind to like it. I found that you can make up your mind to like something and then you like it. It's in your head. That's it. I'm going to like it, I'm going to eat it, I'm going to tell her I've had it, and that's it. So the day I said yes, after that she never asked me anymore. And now I love it. I don't have it very often, but I love it. But for those weeks it was torture. It was terrible. It used to come every day, and every day I used to go and vomit. It was not possible. I don't want this. I was very fussy in many ways. I remember she used to give us sweets after the prizes and the games. The winner used to get more sweets, but all of us got sweets, and those sweets were made by Ganpatram with condensed milk. And then it's kept in a big jar in the corridor, not in the fridge. So after a while they used to get rancid, spoiled. So one day she took 6 sweets in her hand, and there was one that had become quite green. It was made of condensed milk. So I kept on praying, I hope I don't get that one. Sure enough, I got it. I was the one who got it. It was absolutely green, really quite jade green. So I must have made a face because I was fussy. She said, "This you'll eat." I said, "Yes, Mother." And I intended to take just a tiny little bit because I said yes, and the rest would throw. She said, "This is penicillin." Apparently, fungus is penicillin, so this is good for you. You take this. So I said, "We do smear," but I had no intention of taking it. She said, "Eat it now." Right here in front of me. And the others were laughing because they all knew me, and I had to eat that whole sweet, standing there, green, sweet. And she's laughing, "Eat it now." That's how she was. Another time we decided to cook for her, the 6 of us. We didn't know any cooking. We had sort of not been taught anything. But we said we'll make something for her. So what shall we make? One of us said, "We'll make rasgulla." It seems easy, simplest. Nobody's going to help us. We're going to do it ourselves. So we went around asking people how to make it. And we did it in the dortoir. Not in anybody's house. Still, we made a basin. We took it upstairs. Quite a few, and they had grown nice and round and swollen up. Big basin of syrup, sugar syrup. And those rasgullas, which we took upstairs proudly. And there my mother used to work upstairs. Gauri's mother was there, Mona. And they all said, "What have you done? Mother doesn't like Indian sweets. It's too sweet. She doesn't want these things. What have you made?" I said, "We didn't know. We've made." But then when she came, we gave her. "For me? How wonderful." Wonderful. So she asked for a plate. She said, took a sweet. She cut it into pieces, took one piece herself, gave us all from the same rasgulla. Then she asked for a glass. She poured out some of that sugar syrup and drank some of it, asked us to drink from the same cup.
Oh my God.
And in India you don't drink from another's cup. You know, it's not done. Mothers, yes, but not from all the others. But I was on her right and Tara was on her left. She started from this, so I got everybody's prasad. Not only mothers, but all of them. I was the last. And I was thinking, I have to drink all the prasad. Then she took the glass from me and drank it again. She was the first, she was the last. And then she said, "You know, in occultism, if you drink from the same cup, it's the cup of union. We will never be separated. Those who drink from the same cup are not separated." That's that's the belief. So we will always be together, we'll never be separated. So she's always there. And that's one of the sentences she told me in 71, or was it 2? On Sakitpa. So we're not separated.
Could you read a little bit of Savitri to us?
I have so many favorites, I don't know what to read from, but one of my, everybody reads from the book of the Divine Mother. But not all of it, it's a long one. When darkness deepens, strangling the earth's breast, and man's corporeal mind is the only lamp, as a thief's in the night shall be the covert tread of one who steps unseen into his house. A voice ill-heard shall speak, the soul obey, a power into mind's inner chamber steal. A charm and sweetness open life's closed doors, and beauty conquer the resisting world. The truth light capture nature by surprise, a stealth of God compel the heart to bliss, and earth grow unexpectedly divine. In matter shall be lit the Spirit's glow. In body and body kindled the sacred birth. Night shall awake to the anthem of the stars. The days become a happy pilgrim march, our force a will of the Eternal's power, and thought the rays of a spiritual sun. A few shall see what none yet understands. God shall grow up while the wise men talk and sleep, for man shall not know the coming till its hour, and belief shall be not till the work is done. The Master of existence lurks in us and plays at hide and seek with his own force. In nature's instrument loiters secret God. The immanent lives in man as in his house. He has made the universe his pastime's field, a vast gymnasium of his works of might. All-knowing, he accepts our darkened state. Divine, wears shapes of animal or man. Eternal, he assents to fate and time. Immortal, dallies with mortality. The all-conscious ventured into ignorance. The all-blissful bore to be insensible. Incarnate in a world of strife and pain, he puts on joy and sorrow like a robe, and drinks experience like a strengthening wine. He, whose transcendence rules the pregnant vasts, prescient now dwells in our subliminal depths, a luminous individual power alone. The Absolute, the Perfect, the Alone, has called out of the silence his mute force, where she lay in the featureless and formless hush, guarding from time by her immobile sleep the ineffable presence of his solitude. The Absolute, the Perfect, the Alone, has entered with his silence into space. He has fashioned these countless persons of one self. He has built a million figures of his power. He lives in all, who lived in his vast alone. Space is himself, and time is only He, the Absolute, the Perfect, the Immune, one who is in us as our secret self, our mask of imperfection has assumed. He has made this tenement of flesh His own, His image in the human measure cast, that to His divine measure we might rise. Then, in a figure of divinity, the Maker shall recast us and impose a plan of Godhead on the mortal's mould, lifting our finite minds to His infinite, touching the moment with eternity. This transfiguration is earth's due to heaven. A mutual debt binds man to the Supreme. His nature we must put on as He put ours. We are sons of God and must be even as He. His human portion, we must grow divine. Our life is a paradox with God for key.